Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa rabbil alameen. As-salatu salam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Halim wa salim bikum. Salamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh lil ikhwani fati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba'ahuda lil ikhwani fati fi Africa, Europa, Asia, Caribbean, wa kulli makan. To my full community, Anzrama as-salam wa jawtali. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another talk today. This one is more of a personal talk, and also is designed to get the Futafula moving in the right direction. We have been out of it since the colonial period, and the colonial powers did a number on us. When our sultanates were finally defeated, so goes West Africa. And this is what has happened. And we have never been the same ever since that time. But the illustrious past, we have to always go back to look at that. What do you think why you look at the Tubab Western powers, they revisit their past to see again how certain presidents or prime ministers ran their countries. We on the Futafula have forgotten all about our illustrious past. We only concentrate on the future. And there's something to this. I'm going to get into next couple of episodes here. I'm going to get into deeper philosophical things that our ancestors covered in the 15th and 16th and the 17th centuries. I think it's very important because when you look at everything, we're in a minority as far as West Africa goes, but yet and still we know the corridors like the back of our hand, because we everywhere from the Western corridor all the way to the Eastern corridor, all the way to Eritrea, we have our people manning cattle there, living as Futafula or living as herders or so forth, a combination of that, and all across the Sahara. So it's that, we're everywhere. So we have a history, and that history has been sideswiped, wiped off, forgotten about, and we have really gotten ourselves in a lot of trouble. When we look at the favors that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, he gave us these riches, brothers and sisters, that on the surface, it's off the charts. I had a brother who was in the United States. He found out his full of heritage. It's like me. He was just overwhelmed. He was so very, very, very happy about that. Good brother, good young brother. And when I was talking about ancient Kemt, again, Egypt, Kemt is the proper name they have for ancient Egypt, or you can say Ta Mary, one of those two in Mehneher, you can use that. And he was talking about the Futafula. He said he understood from what he read is that they were looked down upon because they were herding cattle. This is not the case. And many of the kingdoms, they held power because they became sultans, especially in the old kingdom. In this first, second, and third, they were very much prevalent as being pharaohs or pharaoh of all of Egypt. And they had maintained cattle, and they had maintained riches because of the cattle. And so this is a important factor for us. But this is what caused us to be somewhat different than the others. And there's another aspect to this, brothers and sisters. When we were in ancient Egypt, there is the religious concept, as you heard me talk 1,000 times, called the Ka. And the Ka was an ancient religion of Tawheed in Kemt. We took this religion greatly. And we even took the names related to the religious beliefs of Ka, no different than the Muslims today. They have the names Abdullah, meaning the servant of Allah. We took the names Ka and Kara, signifying our love and devotion to, at this time we knew as Ra. Ra not meaning sun. If you saw my class, meaning the power behind it. And so we took that. When we left ancient Kemt, we also left Ka, but we still kept the names of our religious background back in Kemt. We still kept the names Kara, Giallo, Ka, and there's some other names, I can't remember the whole list that we had in ancient Egypt. We still kept that. Let's honor some of our guests here who we have here. Wa alaikum salam, my dear brother. Thank you very much for showing up. Please subscribe to his platform. He's a professional teacher, so he has a good platform, a very easygoing course on African history, specializing in the East, and he's getting really deep down in a lot of the aspects of ancient Kemt. So please follow this brother. And he said, interesting, yes. And so when we have this aspect in our life, the Fotofola left ancient Egypt and they took their cattle with them, because we have drawings in caves of men and cattle. So we left. But we began to pervert our originality of religion of Tawheed and left Tawheed. But we still kept the names in Tawheed. Ka means what? Means the in Arabic, the nefs, meaning the soul that rests in the earth. And then, again, the Ba is the what we call the Ruh in Arabic, meaning the soul that is deep and is outside of the earth as we understand that. So sometimes I want to get deeper into that, but sometimes I say, no, I don't want to, because maybe people may misunderstand. They'll say, well, why Sheikh Yahya going into this? He's a Muslim. I'm only going about historical belief. Look, Ka, if you look at it, the Ka was Tawheed. If you see the hieroglyphics and what was wrote, it's more stronger than what many of us believe today. There's deviations, of course, but our people took this. And on top of that, we took especially the name Kara. Kara is, again, the housing of the soul. Once you die on earth, you're buried. It's called Kara. We have this name still today. We carry. So this is, again, something that we had. And we had this deeper sense connection to the religion. And this helped us in many aspects, because we start to have Subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with education that's beyond belief. Here we have an ancient brother. If you know anything would happen at the beautiful university there in Timbuktu, especially from the 1400s to about the 1700s, because you remember the Moroccans came and took over the show, and then it was invaded again by others. We had Fulani scholars and educators and doctors, and that's why I told you I would give what I could to go to visit those suppositories in Timbuktu. We had ancient Fulani astrophysicists who drew maps like this of the universe without the modern technology that we know today that they're still trying to map out. Our ancient ancestors were mapping out the interstellar space well before the European or the Tuba came to us. We were mapping it out. This was carried over from ancient Kemt, where we had our brothers mapping out the interstellar space. without the modern technology. And someone asked, why is that? I'm going to give a class on this because I asked Subhanahu wa ta'ala this question and I was kind of given an answer, but I won't answer it here. Because you have to ask a question, how can you or me or any human being who sits on this earth with our regular eyesight, how can we look into the outer space? Yes, certain times of the year we see the Cirrus, we see Cirrus A. We'll see that in the certain times of the year in the in the heavens. But how do we know about the others? We can't see it per se with the naked eye and even chart it out. There's a reason why we could and why the ancient Kemetic people had this power. But I won't get into that right now. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, our brothers. Okay, yeah, I'm trying. Yes, sir. You're doing a very good job, my dear brother. And keep up the good work because we need a variety of African historians to give us a well-rounded picture. Today, I may be talking about this, and our brother King Cam is talking about something about an ancient Kemt that covers a lot of different areas. So you have a well-rounded education. This is what we need. We don't need just one type of education where we concentrate solely on jihad, so to speak, but we talk about many aspects of the life of of our ancestors and what happened, because our people today still, we're very ignorant, very, very ignorant of our past. And that was by design. See, by design. And our brother here, the people show a split. Yes, they did. And this is something, I'm going to get into this. Because if you look at the picture that I had depicted here, our brother was charted in we know in suppositories of Timbuktu. We know that they have charts of our solar system. And that's incredible. That is, it's just outstanding. How can that be? How can a man with his naked eye draw maps of the universe in complete detail? There's a reason why we could, but again, I won't touch it today. There's something very deep to this. Okay, we got who we got here. Okay, now, my dear brother, if you looked at my marquee, we're not going to start this today. Please give your greetings. Please give your greetings before anything else. How you doing, my dear brother? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for showing up today. I appreciate that. So now we look at the character of, at this time, a Fulani person. He left ancient Egypt with his cattle. He went trekking across the Sahara, which today we know is barren. But you'd be surprised how many oases we have in the Sahara. In some of these regions where there's oases, you see a sea of sand, and suddenly you come over a hilltop and you'll see oases of dates. Now, Subhanahu wa ta'ala had to put his hand in that. Because there's water underground. Do you know that they said that the Sahara is actually sitting on a sea or ocean of water? And you can see that when you go in the Sahara, because you go to certain areas of Sahara and you see the sand, it looks like it's been disturbed with water. It's like water's underneath. Very, very interesting. Very, very strange. Very interesting. And so when we look at this in the totality, brothers and sisters, There is something that we as the Fulani people had. We left ancient Egypt, we went into Sahara. And we stayed mainly to the central, to the north. This is why the Futafula heritage DNA is everywhere in North Europe and Northern Africa, especially in Morocco, we understand today. And then we began to make our trek when Islam came to us. And then we begin to go further south. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us something. When the Sahara began to dry up, there are magnetic fields in the Sahara. You just cannot walk out, as you heard me say 1,000 times, you just cannot walk out into the Sahara that easily and say, okay, man, this is easy. You know, I can find my way back into the towns. No, it's not that simple. There's some magnetic field that's there. You can get misorientated. People die every year from fright. You know, die fright from scared. You know, your vitals just shut down. You're so scared. You lost all hope and you die. People go out in the Sahara and they get misorientated. Because when it turns night in the Sahara, you can't see nothing. Even your hand in front of you, you cannot see it. But there's certain times of year you can because of the moon and so forth and so on. You'll be able to see some things, but it's just jet black. And anyway, you'll see yourself in the stars. That's about all. So your orientation is all the way off. Because when you're in the Sahara, it's like the universe is very compacted and very close to you. When you're in the Sahara, when you see the moon, it's amazing when you come to the Sahara and you look at the moon. You can see the craters from the Sahara. I mean, it's incredible. When you're in the city, you can't see it as well. Wait till you go to the desert or the Sahara. You go there, you see things that you don't see when you're in the city. This is why Morocco is one of the leaders as far as determining, like when it's time for Ramadan and so forth and so on, because they go to the Sahara and we have a good, beautiful view of the sighting of the moon. We have that. Beautiful. We got a couple more. Yes, my dear brothers, greeting everybody. And our brother here, oh, good. Thank you very much, my dear brother. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. Thank you very, very much. And our brother's giving his thanks to him. And we got here, we didn't know that it's high. Yes, it has some sort of magnetic fields that is very, very interesting. And when you into the Sahara, I can't, as you heard me say many times before, it has some feel to it as though you're outside of the earth. It's a strange feeling, very, very strange feeling. And things just are not the same. The misorientation that you have has to do with, I think, some magnetic thing that does something to the brain. I don't know. I'm doing more research on this, but there's something that happens to you. As you heard me say before, back now, I think that was in 2014, the last time, or 2015, I think 2015, 2016, I was in the Sahara last. And I told my wife, I said, look, we're going to go out there and we're going to make Salat al-Maghrib, which is the first evening prayer. You're out in the Sahara. Our kasbah where we were living at, okay, staying at, okay, was out. You can see the Sahara as you can enter it, right? You see it, plain as day. It looked like it's like 2 or 3 steps, when in fact it's not. It's a distance away. So we made Maghrib, it was dark. And my wife kept saying to me, she said, well, I can't see anything. And I started to laugh, you know. She got mad, but she started to laugh. And I told you the story about what happened. I told her, I said, look, you have to read the stars. I said, you see the star right there is leading here. We follow it, it'll take us back to the cusp. She said, you know, she started to get, I said, no. This is what happens when you get to the desert, you get scared. I told her, you grab on the back of my shirt and don't let go. I'm going to walk slow. You stay behind me, you know, and whatnot. So I followed the star and it took us back to the Kasbah. But it was so dark, I'm telling you, without that, I could have ended up over into Algeria, you know, because we're close, not the border, you know, very, very close. But I just made a point. It has something, it's a very, very interesting place. And everybody should go to it at least once and to get the feel of it. It's very, very, very interesting. So we had brothers who were gifted with a knowledge, and they were the first of the astrophysicists. Now, we had astrophysicists in ancient Kemet because they were already before they were mapping out, and they had scribes, scholars, teachers who also knew. So most of the West Africans, when they made the trek over from Kemet to West Africa, we had people in the mystery schools. In the mystery schools, you were taught astrophysics. So when you hear the people talk in modern times about the astrophysics, we had that well before the Europeans came. And when the Greeks finally came, they started to hit our suppositories. They found this stuff, and this is how we educated them. Now some of the European scholars are starting to admit that the education did come out from ancient Kemet, but many others still no, they reversed it. Matter of fact, I seen a program today where we reversed it. They're saying that the Africans got everything from the Greeks, which is not true, but that's another story in itself. So we have this, but why the specialty? Why the specialty, brothers and sisters? Why the specialty? What drove us to the Sahara? How did Subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this concept of himself, meaning the worshiping of Tawheed, the oneness of Subhanahu wa ta'ala? And we knew it at that time as Ka, and our brothers stayed with this. And Subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with a lot of knowledge. He then took us to the Sahara, where we dwelled in the Sahara, which is not easy. We remained alone, but we did meet up with our Tuareg brothers and our Amazigh brothers. In those days, they were known as the Mozab people. Look this up. I told you the story on my DNA. I saw this word Mozab. I thought they were talking Mozambique. Until one day I looked at it good. I said, wait a minute, why don't he just spell out, why don't they just say Mozambique? I wrote to the people and they said, no, you better look at your ancient Egyptian history. I said, you have ancient Egyptian history and you also have it with the people they called Mozab. The Mozab people became the Tuareg, and they became the Amazigh. So we had a lot of relationships to the north with them. This is why the Tuareg culture in particular and the Fulani culture, it's a lot of similarities. And of course, you know, the mixing happening. It was not a black and white thing because everybody was black, but the cultural mixing between the two. And we know about that. I gave you a class about this, so we know that. But we dwelled in the Sahara. In this time, Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a lot of knowledge. But he caused us to be alone. He caused us to be only around other Fulani people. We did have contacts with the Tuareg, but they had their own communities and we had our own communities. So we were still relatively alone. We were not integrated. And this is a fact. See here what our brothers, okay, our brothers said here, yes, oh yes, a lot more knowledge. As the Europeans came, they had two periods when they came to Africa to get re-educated, and they don't like to hear that. First, when they made their trek to Kempt, they began to learn from us. After a long period of time, when they went into the Dark Ages, they sent their brightest again back into, at this time, North Africa to go to our universities and also into Mali to get re-educated. They took this education and went back up into Europe. So two times when they went to the Dark Ages, in the Middle Ages, they sent their people. We had Englishmen, we had Frenchmen. They knew at Gauls at the time. We had the ancient Spaniards. They were called Visigoths and so forth and so on. They were down at our universities in North Africa and in Mali. So we had this education well before, and then we re-educated them after they were in the Dark Ages when they began to come and to study even here in Morocco. At Qarawiyyin University, they even studied here. So we have that. We know that they came to study, and then they sent their explorers and their educators also to Mali, to Timbuktu, where they got a real good education there as well. So we have that. Now we're going to get into it. I want you to really think about this, brothers and sisters. The Fulani doesn't feel good around non-Fulani people. I'm building up to something. He is uncomfortable and outside of Pulaku. He has a Hausa brother. He has a Tiv brother over here. He has a Yoruba brother. As a general rule, even though he may be sitting among them, but he is a lot uncomfortable. And his language and his mannerisms and his adherence to Pulaku, plus his adherence to Islam, causes this uncomfortability with other people. And others wrote about this. They tried to explain us, and they explained good what they noticed about us. See, and this factor is leading to a point I'm going to make. His religious commitment to Islam is greater than most. So he suffers around less committed non-Fulani people. When you look at the Messina and look at even in Takrur and other areas, he was very uncomfortable. He was not too patient with those. Even the Ghana Empire was here. Takrur, when it's become powerful enough, where they had joined with their Tuareg black brothers, they were black at this time, and they began to open up Takrur. They began to go into Ghana and start having fights. They could not tolerate people that was less committed to Islam, or those who were not committed to Islam. They had a zero tolerance for them. So he suffers around less committed non-Fulani people. We cannot enjoy the company of other groups. since the herding and solitude is in our blood, even though we became futa fulla, futa toro. This gene of solitude and herding stays with us. It's in our blood. This trait is traced back to ancient Kemt. When look at our Nabi alayhi salatu salam. He began to make his trek into the Sahara and into the mountains. When you are in solitude, especially for long periods of time, you begin to change. You're not the same anymore. A lot of that is because you have now a closeness to Subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the worldly life that you understand is outside of you. This is why in old Arabia, and they would talk about an issue of the man who would go up into the mountains. They would always say, hey, when you go up there, you see the world too well. And this aspect is why the Fulani, as he went in his solitude, he was given certain things, and this is why he could see the world very well. But this solitude had developed into traits that other non-Fulani people don't understand. They don't like it. There's usually conflict when we associate with other non-Fulani. We see that today, don't we? This is still going on today. We traditionally don't share our thoughts to others. This is part of, in some ways, the part of Pulaku, and we don't share our language as much either, even though some have learned it, but you notice a lot of people don't know it or speak it because we do not share it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala had us to dwell in the Sahara and the Savannah regions away from everybody else. So when he began to go further south into coastal West Africa, he ran into other people who came from Kemp, but they had their own different cultures, and conflicts even arose at the time, thousands of years ago. Many Futafola ask why we cannot enjoy peace and solidarity with others. One, we lived in the north and we developed our culture. We still kept our culture from Kempt, our herding culture and solitude. And when you in any person, you do this research, any person who leaves the city, what happens to the people who go what they call off grid today? They go live in the forest and they there 3, 4, 5 years. You see them, you'll notice a lot of differences in their behavior. Something happens when you're in solitude. See? So we lived in the north. We went south to invite others to Islam. Yes, we had contact with others, but now we start to go further south with Islam as our basis. And that also caused a problem with other groups. Other groups saw us and say that we were arrogant because we had great knowledge of Islam. And so others saw that and they didn't like it. This causes the friction that we see today with many non-Fulani people. They just cannot stand us. They don't understand us at all and they don't like us. When we took Islam and began to go further south, our jihad was strong. So much so that after we received it, as we started going south and to the west, we ended up in Takrur, which we know today is northern part of Senegal and southern part of Mauritania. We know that. So much so, as you heard me say, that when the call of jihad was to answer, go up into Spain as we know it today, we know we went there. Not one of us or two of us. We were one of the main bodies who entered into ancient Spain. At that time, we call Al-Andalusia. See, so I'll get to you guys' questions in a minute. Wait, hold it for a second. Our commitment to Islam is greater than most. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, look at modern times today. Who are the best scholars? Fulani. The most scholars, Fulani. The greatest university, Timbuktu. Most of the scholars were whom? Fulani. 3 of the 5 of the greatest scholars of Timbuktu's history are Fulani. Some of the greatest astrophysicists, Fulani. Some of the doctors who performed surgery, eye surgery, heart surgery, and so forth, Fulani. Some of the greatest educators of Islamic law and Islamic financing, who? Fulani. Some of the richest men in history and from many different eras, Fulani. So you see now, Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us something. Subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with the best scholars and educators, astrophysicists, doctors, and so forth, educators. It goes all the way down the line. Subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us. And this is, again, why we should go back and look at what happened and ask and measure ourselves today. We're in a sorry state today. See, let's look at here what our brothers and sisters here. Okay, we got brother. How you doing, my dear brother? Thank you very much for showing up today. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Well, Jazakum, thank you very much for showing up. And my dear cousin, how you doing, my dear cousin? Thank you very much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Thank you very much, my dear cousin, for showing up today. So I'm going to draw something out to you. I'm leading you to something. That'll give you insight. You see the natural separation that Subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the Fulani person. This is an asset, brothers and sisters. It's not a demerit. It's an asset. Some may say, well, I don't understand why I can't hang around much with my house of brothers, or I go to school and there's Tiv. I don't get along with them. I see some of the Yoruba brothers, even though they're Muslims, I don't seem to get along with them either. So what happened? See, what happened? And we have to ask that question. So now, Subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't punishing us because of our exclusion from others. He's actually protecting us, our Islam and our Pulaku. This is why he still has allowed us in West Africa to be the greatest of scholars. He has allowed us to be some of the most richest people in West Africa. He has allowed us to trek the corridors of the Sahara, the Savannah region, the Sahel, when others are not doing it and capable of doing it. You don't find the other groups all the way across from Senegal, across the Sahel, north to the southern part of Al-Maghrib, going all the way to Eritrea, we understand today, which is eastern part of Habasha, what you know is Ethiopia today, we call it Habasha. We have Fulani people there. He is protecting us, our Islam and our Pulaku. So you see, when we are around others, they don't understand us. We've seen this when we had our great sultans. And the latest one was Usman bin Fodio, our ancestral great sultan. When you read his works, he covered this stuff. He talked about how the others say they were Muslims, but they did not carry Islam in their hearts. They spoke it, but not practice it. So the Fulani around could not get along with these hypocrites. The hypocrites, just like today, want to bring the Fulani to modernism and secularism, and some are our brothers and sisters in northern Nigeria, we know today, were practicing, they were part Mushrik and part Islam, and Usman bin Fodio called them on that. In other generations in the Musina, they had the same problem where they had Muslims, but they were saying they were Muslims. They even prayed as Muslims, but they were still juju and animists and so forth and so on in private or in the dark. They had their own little masjids, and they incorporated both. So we have always been angry with the less committed non-Fulani people who are not committed to Islam. We had problems in ancient times with Ka, the same parallel as we have with Islam. In the prototype Tawheed, it was known as the Ka. We took it hard. If you look at the names of the many of the pharaohs and so forth and so on, they did not keep and incorporate the name Ka, but we did. And Ba also. So we took Islam the same way. And for centuries upon centuries, we still had less tolerant for others, and others have less tolerant for us. Because those non-Fulani want to take us into modernism. And this is the problem that we have as Fulani people today. See, so I'm leading you to something. The exclusion helped us, as you heard me say, mass wealth, peace, and Subhanahu wa ta'ala's favor. Since we championed Allah in his religion, when others compromised it, if you look at all of the sultanates that we had around, the Great Pulo, the Messina, the Hakpular, and there's many others I haven't even discussed yet. One of the factors, defining factors, was this non-compromise of the religion and the Fulani Pulaku character, which others look at us and don't understand it. When the doggone people in Mali who had this knowledge, you heard my class on this, and even King Cam, if he's still here, you subscribe, he talked about them as well. They are the ones who charted out the star system called Cirrus. You heard me talk about this, and even Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Cirrus in the Quran. Many people don't know that, but he does. Oh yes, it's there, but it's just that he didn't call it Cirrus. He used another name in Arabic, Quranic Arabic, for this star system. And he also want to take us back, because then the Inca, the religion, told us that we marvel at the universe, but we worship what's behind it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us again in Surah Shams, the sun, he talks about this issue of the power of who's behind it. So we are traveling in a direction that the others are not traveling. They're just not traveling that direction. West Africa is suffering greatly when we should be the leader. We have allowed others to lead us. We have allowed ourselves to mingle among others who took us away from Pulaku, who's taken us away from our religion of Islam, caused us to be modern, caused us to be secularists. We did not have the protection and the reciprocity like we had in the past. When others begin to destroy us, they cause the separation of the families. Our youth are not educated anymore. They don't even pick up the Quran anymore. They don't even read from the Quran anymore. They cannot speak Arabic anymore. They've lost Pulaku. So now they're bandits. Now they are kidnappers. Now they're muharaba. Muharaba are those who rob people in the open, on open highways, or in the savannah region, way out. They call this, our Prophet called this muharaba. This is what they call the people. Now we get into something. We live in a dimension that others cannot understand. Brothers and sisters, if you look at the time, especially 7/11, why did Tariq ibn Ziyad, rahimahullah, who was the Amazigh, okay? Amazigh, but they were black at the time. You heard my class on this 1,000 times about the blackness of, quote unquote, the Moors. Tariq ibn Ziyad didn't stay to the north. He went to the Takrur region to get the Fulani, the Sanike, the Wolof, the Bambara, and he brought them to the north for jihad. But it was the Fulani who was the most predominant. There's a dimension, brothers and sisters, that Subhanahu wa ta'ala has given human beings. And I'll get more into that at another time. Since the Fulani have a dimension, because they have been in solitude and they had something, and because they took Subhanahu wa ta'ala's original Tawheed religion of Ka very hard, he said, I'm going to preserve you. I'm going to put you in the Sahara where no one's there except you. I will allow you to house his cattle and to be with them. And I'll give you great gifts of navigation that the others don't have. This is a dimension, brothers and sisters. This dimension, what I'm talking about now, just to go to the Sahara, to be there and to go in it and to dwell in it and to navigate it is something that is not given to everybody. This is why the successful groups don't go in it, because they don't have it. So Subhanahu wa ta'ala then put a natural border between us and others. This dimension caused serious misunderstanding of our ways, because we develop cultural ways and means different than others. Because he caused a dimension. I'll get into this another time. This dimension allowed for us to gather knowledge and a lot of environmental things that others do not have. It takes a certain aptitude and something that Subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed a dimension that allows the Fulani to go from Senegal across the savannah, in the Sahel, and in parts of the Sahara, all the way to Eritrea. How do you navigate that? It's not easy. He put natural borders between us and them, and this dimension caused serious misunderstanding of our ways, to the point that people don't have an understanding and they hate us and they have jealousy as well. Our Nabi, alayhi salam, said, think about this. He said that Subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards those who bring the most benefit, not those who is actually the most popular and less beneficial. We have a lot of people who are very popular. They go around the people, but what benefit do they bring them? This is what, again, brothers and sisters, why you look at this dimension I'm giving you to today. You look at our popular people who we see in movies and in plays and videos. Their influence is practically nothing. They're entertainers. This is why we have a lot of prohibitions about this. They benefit us in no way. They give you entertainment for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. But their benefit to people are none. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, our Nabi has said, alayhi salam, said that this reward benefit most. The Fulani, let's look at the bare essence. He benefits the people because he gives the people meat from his herding. He benefits the people because he gives them the milk from his cattle. He's benefiting the people when he has byproducts from the milk and from the meat, dried meat. He's get curded milk. There's other similar, like cottage cheese and so forth and so on. This is benefiting the people. This is what the Nabi alayhi salam said. Even though these people here, they're giving milk and then they disappear back into the savannah. They don't hang around the others, the other nationalities. He sell what he has to meet. They'll go to them and say, look, yeah, I got a wedding. I need 3 cattle. He purchases the cattle, or maybe in advance, he says, I need dry meat. So he'll go to the Fulani brother and ask to have a cattle slaughtered. He paid for it and to dry the meat for him. This is a great benefit to the people. We have others who are more famous, quote unquote, because they're popular among the people. But what benefit are they giving to people? You take our herdsmen who are not glamorous, but look as his benefit to the people that the Nabi alayhi salam is talking about. See, so this is something, brothers and sisters, that we have to look at. And here's another factor I want to get into this, brothers and sisters. This is a depiction. But do you know that in the times of in the Savannah region, we have Fulani scholars, learned men, that would travel the Savannah region into regions where there were lions. The lions did not touch them. There's other reports, that's why I need to get to Timbuktu, of writings talking about their experiences with lions actually sitting nearby when they recite the Quran they're making a journey. They're reciting. They're in the areas where the lions were dwelling. Now we know that the lions are almost been all decimated. The West African lion had a special characteristics about him. We know he's being decimated today. But we've had writings and teachings talking about these learned men who lived in a dimension that we don't live in. Yes, they're human beings. Yes, they eat, they sleep, they go to the bathroom, they live and they die. But they would travel the Savannah region through the lion country by himself, and none of the lions would touch him. And we have reports that some were doing like this Fulani brother here. He's reading the Quran, and the lion pride who would see this man before would sit at a distance from him and watch him and listen. After he made his trek, he would go to sleep. They didn't bother him. He would get up and leave. They didn't bother him. This is a dimension that I'm going to get more into at another time. We had one of the reports that talked about a lion, and one of our scholars who was out away. He wanted to get away from everybody because of things that's going on. He wanted to go away from everybody. We have one report that this particular Fulani scholar came across one angry lion. He was in his territory. The lion was very angry when he saw him. But this particular scholar, what has been written, said about it, was he didn't fear because his relationship with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala was so great. But he lived in a dimension that is different. These animals see it. At this one report, and what saying that was happening in this situation is this one angry lion who was head of his pride, lion pride, this is what they call it, the lion family, they call pride, saw him. This brother went to kneel against one tree. I forgot what they call it, the tree, the bow, I forgot the name of the tree. He leaned against there and he began to read the Quran. This vicious lion, it is said, stayed 10, 15 meters from him, could have killed him at any moment. And he just looked at him. And he sat there and watched him when he was reading the Quran. Brothers and sisters, this is why I want to get to Timbuktu to read these documents in the Arabic language. Because there's a lot of history that we have been, and there's a reason for that. You heard me say this. If Timbuktu was a two-bob institution where you had astrophysicists, physicians, neurosurgeons, educators, financiers, all this sort of thing like this, if they were all two-bob, their works would be all over the world. because the people were black, they want to keep that from all of us. We can't even get in there. And this is what the king, I mean, the president of Mali, he said he's running a different platform. He's going to have to open up and stop this colonial mindset of keeping all the Africans out. And Europeans are the only one coming in. See, he's doing a good job. He's now made his country debt-free. If you watch him the other day, I applaud him. When he went into Russia to meet Putin, he came in the West African gandura that they, wear prevalent, and a kufi. He didn't wear a suit like the modern Muslims do today. He dressed in traditional African clothing with the kufi when he went to go visit with Putin. But our brother have to open up the market. Yes, we have problems because we know he's fighting the Messina to the south. And he's also fighting some of the Tuareg groups to the southeast who have aligned themselves on and off with the Messina. Then he's in the north, he's dealing with the Tuareg and the secular Tuareg who want their own kingdom they call Aswad. And this is where Timbuktu is at. But he's got to open this up so we can have people get there to look at these documents. Because they say a lot of it has been destroyed because of time and age and worms and eating the material because it's made out of paper and so forth and so on. But these writings here and these things here about the Fulani scholars going among the lions, I want to read all this because I have questions. How? I want to know when he wrote these documents, he talked about what happened. He was living in a dimension that we don't understand. These lions and their pride should have killed him. How can he go through the savannah region in the lion territory, walk among them to his destination, sleep, read the Quran, they don't bother him. Especially this one fish, very vicious, male lion of his pride, very vicious. He could have killed this great Sheikh Islam Fulani. He could have killed him easily and fed him to his pride, but he didn't. I want to get in those suppositories so I can read all these historical documents about all of these Fulani scholars who wrote. They wrote a lot of things, brothers and sisters, a lot of things. The things about eye surgery, the dentistry, that type of thing, heart surgery, and the astrophysics among us up in space. I want to go there. And they also talk about the dimensions. I'm hoping I pique your interest so you'll follow me the next time. I'll get it more into this, about the dimensions that cause these men to do this, cause these scholars to be like this. This was among the Fulani leadership. This is why I say to you, my dear brothers and other Africans, period, because it makes no difference where you get the education on Islam and about the world, about the dunya and Jinnah. I don't care if it's from Tiv, I don't care if it's from the Yoruba or whomever. You get it from that man. We have extraordinary scholars that were doing extraordinary things that I'm presenting to you today. Like this. How many of us today could do this? Think about this. Huh? How many? How many could do this? How many of us could go through the region of the lion region and sit and read the Quran and have a lion pride sit nearby listening to him recite the Quran? How many? How many of us today could do this? What dimension was he living in that allowed him to do this? That the lions and the animals saw him in, that they saw him in this dimension that they don't see us in. I'll get more into that. I'm hoping I pique your interest on this. We got some comments. Let's look at here, see what the brothers, okay, let's see here. I saw a video of a lion reacting to a Christian worship song. Then he turned to the Quran, recite it, and the lion sit down calmly. Yes, every creature knows its creator. You know, yes, that's right, my dear brother, my cousin. Let me tell you something. There's something also to this. There's a video out where they had this one brother who was reciting the Quran, and Israel, their policemen, 3 of them, they had dogs. And these vicious dogs have been going after our brothers and sisters there in Gaza, chewing them up every time they release them onto them, they chew them up. But this brother was sitting and reciting and making his Nephilah prayers when the dogs, they sicked the dogs on him. When they got about 5 meters, they begin to stop as though somebody was stopping them, and they begin to make their sounds, and then they sit there and they listen to him recite the Quran, and they let him finish his prayer, his Nephilah prayers. After he finished, they still didn't attack him. And a brother here saying, my issue is that I don't trust leaders in the U.S. to teach right. Yes, well, yes, you know, you're not going to get that. And this is why the stinging, he's passed on now, the great Sheikh Islam in Saudi Arabia, Faizan, I think it was when he wrote his last remaining fatwa urging all Muslims don't even go to the United States for nothing anymore, not even for education. Stay away from it and whatnot, because it's a detriment to your health and to your sanity and to your Islam and so forth and so on. So this is an issue that is great. So, brothers and sisters, now I'm getting close to close. We lost the rule of the Sahel, the savannah, and the coastal West Africa. We left Pulaku. The Fulani adopted the ways of the non-Fulani. He stopped educating his families. In many aspects, we became modern, too modern. We start to listen to others, and we forgot about our past. We start to listening to others, and we did not listen to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala anymore. We forgot about our past. That Subhanahu wa Ta'ala put us in a dimension. He put us in a dimension that caused us to live alone in the Sahara. In that Sahara, he educated us. He did not let us mingle much with others. And when we begin in our zenith of power as Muslims, the university that we had at Timbuktu was off the charts. And the Fulani Muslims were going on and off from 1400s all the way to the Pular took it, and then 1900s. Then it was we were disbanded. And we lost all of this. And this is detriment. We are going to lead in the future, BF because we have more Fulani scholars today doing like I'm doing now, going back to the past, looking at our great Muslim scholars, learning from them, and then implementing that by bringing it to the people. The cohesion with others, to a degree, we should remain separated. Why? Because Subhanahu wa ta'ala separated us in the past to preserve us and to keep us for a reason. He gave us Islam, but before Islam, we had Pulaku, when others did not have this. So he kept us separated. And we had power. When we begin to mix, we begin to go among them. We became Futa Toro. We became Futa Fula. We begin to adopt and to coincide with other groups. It destroyed that natural path that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. Why would he let us basically rule from 7-11 to the 1900s? You think about that and you ask the question, why? Why did he allow us to have the greatest scholarship in the history of West Africa, and to some degrees even North Africa? Think about that. When it comes to jihad, it's not the Hausa, it's not the Tiva Yoruba. The greatest of the jihads that took place were the Fulani. Again, Subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed something on us. When we weren't in jihad, we were what? We were the most learned people, and we were teaching, and we had a dimension that others did not have. How many could do what we have, what I want to read? I heard about this stuff, and I know someone has it because they talked about it. I want to read from this beautiful Fulani scholar about his travels through Lion Country, and they didn't touch him. I want to read how he did it. When we weren't in jihad, we were teachers, and we educated, and we did many things. We lost this art. We no longer do this anymore. And look at us today. We're separated. We're all over the place. We're weak. This is why the Fulani Mujahideen groups that call themselves, especially the one Messina, is trying to get us back to this. The other groups know this, and they're trying to stop us because they know that once we get back together like we were in the past, we will start to take control again. And they know that. This is why they go hard after the Fulani scholars and why they prevent them from doing many things. When there are conflicts, they don't even let us go to navigate to stop it. This is a reason why they're doing this, we know. When we weren't in jihad, we had a special connection that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. our Fulani scholars were educating many because as people came, we had Mende people come, we had Capelli, we had Wolof, we had Jolof, we had many other ethnic groups. When they came to the north, they finally qualified to be taught. They were being taught by many Fulani scholars in Timbuktu, because that was the hub center at that time. And they came to study under these fabulous Fulani scholars. See? And so this is something that I'm hoping that I pique your interest, because I'm going to get deeper into the dimension. What am I talking about? I'll get deeper to this, bi'ithnillah, coming days. I'll talk more about this. There's a connection. There's a connection between the Ka, in ancient times, the original Tawheed, Islam, and the Fulani. Our Nabi, alayhi salatu wasalam, possessed something that I will cover as well. See? And this is something that has been recently discovered that I'm going to talk about. See here, we got, where are we at? Okay, we have, what was the content in the Sahara? Okay, I don't know what you mean, my dear brother. Please elaborate. How can we get back to that knowledge? Good question. Let me say this, and I said this already. I believe that the Fulani scholarship that we still possess is just that now, because the Tubab is smart, he's cracked down because we have these leaders who are flunkies listening to them. They make sure that the scholarship is suppressed. So that way we can't give knowledge. Why do you think I go through hell, so to speak? Because they don't like this. See? And we should get back to this. Because of the worldly pressures, it's very difficult for our learned men to talk. They just don't have the avenue to do it because according to where they live, they get arrested. And they got to feed their families. None of us should judge them and say, well, hey, man, why don't you go ahead and get arrested? So what? They put you in prison. What about his children who are sitting at the table? They need to eat. That's a decision, very difficult. Those children didn't ask to be born. It's his responsibility to take care of them, and plus his wife. So when the government comes to him and tell him to shut his trap, he'd do it. Because he's got people here he has to take care of, especially in this amount of time. You can't, it's not easy to fend for yourself today. It's not easy. You know what's happening around the world. So we have to be very careful. We get back to this knowledge. We do have a lot of it. You heard me say the other day, you get a hold of a student knowledge, you get a hold of a scholar, and you learn under him. Many of these scholars today, they can't go to the masjid, they can't go out many places, but they're on YouTube. Since they have curtailed their activity, so they stay inside their house and they teach from their home, from YouTube. And you learn fiqh, you'll learn many different things, Islamic law and so forth and so on. And you can learn under these beautiful scholars of Islam without having to travel there, because they would never let you see them, because many of them are secluded. And this is one of the things we have to do. There's a lot of scholarship there. You should be able to get to it, especially in Google. Pick it up and try to do the best you can until you get a student of knowledge or a scholar to decipher, to help you, so you can learn this information. Why do you think, brothers and sisters, that the Europeans don't want to let you or me study under? We have scientists. They're under house guard because they've been assassinated. The Tubop don't want to see any of this knowledge get out anymore. That's why he prevent us from going to Timbuktu, because Timbuktu, there's that knowledge. If we start to go there, we start to pick up this stuff. We start to see these Fulani scholars who walked around among the lions. We should read what they have to say. We should read these Fulani scholars who are astrophysicists who have talked about the space. We should read about what they had to say. We don't have access to it. Some have smuggled some documents out, like this one brother did, and he brought, and I got his thing. He got it. He translated it in the Arabic language, but he got it there in English now as well. A Fulani scholar. I was talking about this dimension. This brother was in this type of dimension, and things that he said, it's just not normal. This is scholarship and knowledge we should get, but they don't want us to have that. Thank you, my dear brother, for showing up today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bert, my dear brother. Anjorama. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. Sorry, I meant that we were content happy and we had the knowledge and the resources. We didn't have to go abroad to get it. No, you said it right. Our scholarship on the African continent was here on the African continent. Our Fulani scholars didn't go up into Spain or Russia or into Oxford. There was no such thing as that. All this information was gathered here. And I asked the question, brothers and sisters, again, about this. How did he have this? He didn't get this from the Europeans. The Europeans were not doing this because they were in the Dark Ages. By the time Timbuktu, they were starting to come out of the Dark Ages. They sent their people to study at Timbuktu. And in Timbuktu, the lingua franca was Arabic. So you had to be able to speak the Arabic language before you were allowed to come in to the school. How did these brothers possess this knowledge? For them to draw and map out strategic locations in the universe without modern technology. See, and I'm going to get into that. Inshallah ta'ala bi'ifnillah. See, so we are learning, but not learning the right things. I think cross-cultural exchanges are essential to growth. Knowledge can get you killed, like being a scientist that knows how to split. Yes, we know the Africans, we know that the Tubab will ferret out places where we have extreme knowledge. They will kill. Why do you think they make it a point to go after me here? They went to this propaganda to tell the people around, these black people from America, they're still slaves. And many people don't ever catch education. They used to listen to that and they believed the Tubab. Then they graduated from that by saying, look, the reason why we can speak the local Arabic language is because they are so stupid, they can't even read and write, nor can they even write the English language and understand it very well. This is the Tubab out of the embassy, what they were doing. When they were talking about me also. See, then they graduated from that point to say they can't have the ability. So when they know, because they know my history, they know I speak other different languages, they know that. So they try to dismiss that. So when the people come up, they look at the Tubab and say, wait a minute, I just got to talk to this man. This man talked to me in Arabic language. I heard the man speaking in Russian. I heard the man over here speaking in Japanese. Then what they did, they start to go after the people to stop them from coming around me. This is what they do. In 330 AD, the Roman Church ordered the slaughter and killing. They said they didn't do it, but the documents show they did. The Pope, or whoever they called themselves at that time, ordered that they kill all of the African scholars of ancient Egypt that was left, and to burn their suppositories so all this knowledge will be destroyed. We still must maintain this knowledge. And we're going to have the freedom. I'm telling you now, by the sheer size of the continent, by the sheer number of people, if we got together, as you heard me say the other day, our African leaders listen to the Tubab, because the Tubab tell them, look, I want you to close your borders. And when people like Yahya want to come over here to visit you, you don't let that happen. But the Tubab can come in and out. The Chinese come in and out. The Russians come in and out. Any other people. But another black man, we're supposed to be under suspicion. So they are trying to create an avenue to where it stops everything. And we do have scientists, but they're under heavy guard because they will be killed. You're right, brother. They will be killed. And this is the thing of showing, because again, the Tubab wants to be worshipped here on this continent. We have too many Africans to still do that. So he has a program. They went when Malcolm. What do you think they did to Malcolm when he came here? They did the same thing. They said horrible things about him. When our African brothers began to come around here, they found his intelligence and his innate ability was off the charts. But before that, the Tubab was telling him he was a gangster before that. He was a pimp before that. He don't have much education. He was this, he was that. But when our African leaders and African people began to come around Malcolm, they found his intelligence to be innate. And Tubab didn't like that, because his genocidal racist nature is to keep this thought is that he's up here near to Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's right over, and to a degree, he's on the same plane as with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he don't want to see anybody black with any knowledge. But I'll say we do have them, but they don't consider them to be threats. They let them talk on YouTube and everything else, but many others they won't. They go after them. See, so we are close brothers here to the end here. You know, we have brothers who have the deep connection with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have these brothers who have a special relationship with Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Fulani and the Islamic scholarship is great. It's just that it's separated and we have to get back to it. We have a separation now of the Fulani. We have the foot to Torah, we have the foot to Fulla, and then we have the herdsmen, and we have all this scholarship that's not being taught. We have bandits, we have mujahideen, we have muharaba, we have all kind of things, and it's hurting us. In yesteryears, we had this great scholarship that was being taught. And I know our brother said here, where did he say here? He said, we need, here you go. Yes, we should have cultural exchange. The Messina had cultural exchanges. The great Pulo empires, the sultanates, also had exchanges. But they saw something, as you heard me say. They saw that when we have all these cultural exchanges, they begin to try to take us away from our Islam. They tried to take us away from Pulaku, as they're doing today. So when we have mixed now with all these others, has it strengthened us? No, it has not. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he kept us away, we were the smartest. We were in I will cover this. We were put in dimensions that we do not have today. He put us in these dimensions, brothers and sisters. He put us in dimensions that we cannot understand. We don't have that now. These Fulani scholars, these mystic, Sufi, whatever you want to call them, I don't like to use that term. They have this deep spiritual connection with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know them in the Messina dialect as Sufi. I forgot now how to say it. It's Sufiyanki. I know, but there's another word also going in Messina dialect. But again, we lost this. We lost this, brothers and sisters. We lost this. We lost this. We lost this. We lost this as well. We lost this element, this dimension that Subhanahu wa ta'ala put some of our Fulani scholars who can draw this, who can do this today. We lost it. The deep connection with Subhanahu wa ta'ala and with the seven heavens and the connection that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, we lost it. The most devout Muslims in the Sahara region in West Africa is the Fulani still pretty much today, but we lost a lot of it. Why? Because we start to mingle with others. Now listen to me carefully, brothers and sisters. When he separated us for a reason. He kept us in the Sahara, in the savannah. He kept us there and he kept us separated. There he gave us all of this knowledge that I'm talking about now. When we became Futa Toro, when we became Futa Fulla, we begin to lose it. It's like we were being punished by Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we lost all of this knowledge because now we want to mingle with the Hausa. We want to go mingle with the Yoruba. We want to go mingle with the Chamba. We want to go mingle with the Kapele. We want to go mingle with the Dogon. We want to go mingle with the Mende. And we want to meet with all these other groups. We want to go and mingle among them. And what happened? They took us from Pulaku. They took us from all the scholarship. They took us from all this knowledge that we have. Subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm going to keep you here for a reason because I'm going to allow you to lead. From 711 AD to the 1900s, we led. And we were separated. When we started, we said, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be Futa Toro. I want to be Futa Fulla. I want to go among the others. What happened to our knowledge? It was gone, like Subhanahu wa ta'ala punished us. I know you may disagree with me, my dear brothers. I'm hoping you look at my rationale here. When were we most intelligent? When we were around the Hausa, when we were around the Tiv, when we were around the Yoruba, when we were around the Akan, around the Kumasi, we were around the others? No, we were most smart, and we were blessed when we were separated from everybody else, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, I'll give you cattle, I'll let you mingle here, I will give you this, I will give you riches, I will give you knowledge beyond belief. And what happened? We left that, didn't we? And we don't have this anymore. We don't have this anymore. We don't have this anymore. So you guys think about my talk here and ask. Some will say, no, we should go and do this. No. For some reason, Subhanahu wa ta'ala has caused the Fulani people to be in a certain way. Look, all our mingling, what has us got us? We're in trouble with the Hausa. We're in trouble with the Tiv. We're in trouble with the Yoruba. In Ghana, we're in trouble with the Akan. Think about this. We're in trouble with everybody. We go to Cote d'Ivoire. We're in trouble with all the others. We mingle with them, we're in trouble. We go into Sierra Leone. We mingled, we're in trouble. We go into the Gambia. We mingled, we got in trouble. We go in the Senegambia region. We mingled, we got in trouble. We went to Senegal, we got in trouble. And we intermixed. We got in trouble. We lost the knowledge. You think about this, brothers and sisters. You think about what I'm saying here. I'm not trying to talk about apartheid. That's not what I meant. I'm not talking about oh man, you're this, that, I don't want. No, I'm not talking about that. That separation was for a reason. When we were separated, we were the most powerful. We had you think about this. How many people can take cattle and then keep $100,000 US dollars in the bank from the ingenuity that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave our herdsmen, and our beautiful mothers and daughters and stuff to make milk, cheese, and all the other stuff? Think about that. And our brother said, I was about to ask about the Tijani. Yeah, the Tijani, yes, that's a whole different arena of Islam. They're Muslims. No one's denying that. But they have certain characteristics that differ, and so forth and so on. If you looked at my class the other day, I talked about this, that our Prophet ﷺ talked about the 73 groups. 72 of them will be deviant. They'll be Muslim, but they'll be deviant in other things that could take you to the fire. This is why we got to be very careful. You heard me say in my class the other day, review my tape. I said, I don't hang around with the Salafists. I don't hang around with the Tasawwuf. I don't hang around with this Jamaat Islami here or over here, because I know all of them are among the 72. See. And this is, I heard of I was like, yes, I don't know. I heard of in the synagogue. I don't know who you're talking about, my dear brother. Well, we fought against the Mende, but eventually became compatriots. And yes, we also aligned with in Songhai. Yes, and if you look at the Songhai people, because we have been close proximity with them, with the Tuareg, the Songhai, we have traded cultural traits. We have married among our women, have married the brothers there. Our brothers have married Songhai girls. Songhai men have married Fulani women. Some of our brothers have married Tuareg women, and Tuareg have married Fulani. We have all of that, especially in that Western corridor. You heard me say this many times, that there's no pure quote unquote Fulani. If you do DNA of Fulani in the Western corridor, all of us have some Tuareg DNA in it. you can't, you know, or almost there. You just can't avoid that. You have it, along with Mende and Mendinka and so forth and so on. You're not going to get past that. There's no such thing as pure Fulani. Not today. It is not. You hear some traveling Fulani refer to Rekvas. Yes. Yes. I haven't. There's another term I heard they have for that, but I'm waiting for somebody in the chat to correlate what I was saying. And you think when we were separated, we were more powerful. When we began to mingle, we became less powerful. But their mingling is how it got here. My ancestors, yes, mingling, again, brothers and sisters, not in the sense of saying that you cannot marry a house of woman. That's a man is a man. I don't care what degree you put. The brother can walk down the street, he see a Tuareg woman. You think when his interests, his desires, you heard my teacher, what he say in Ghana to me, when I asked him a question about this, he said, the man's nature is to eat and mate. That's what he told me when I asked him a long question. He gave me these words: man's nature is to eat and mate. So even if you put a decree, if I see a beautiful Tuareg woman, you're going to have a desire, because you can't stop that. What I'm talking about here is that you have a separation, meaning that you keep the cultural traits and you keep the language and cultural traits in its form. When we begin to mix with the Tuareg woman, our Tuareg wives did not teach the full Bait language. They taught what? The Tuareg language, right? When we intermarried with the Amazigh, we lost the Fulfulde language. When we went into Andalus, they began to speak Arabic and the Amazigh language. They did not speak Fulfulde anymore. When we were in our zenith of knowledge, we at the university, we had the most scholarship, we had the most professors. They were in all elements of education of Timbuktu, and so forth and so on. I'm not talking about marriage and so forth, but I'm talking about a separation, meaning from the cultural things, because there's a reason Subhanahu wa ta'ala pushed this to the side here. When he did that, our knowledge was off the charts. When we begin to mingle, what happened? Mingling, meaning that we begin to go in. How many of us have lost the Fulfulde in northern Nigeria? I asked my good brother, he's not here today. I asked him a question about that. How many? We have many of our Fulani brothers and sisters today only can speak Hausa. They cannot speak the Fulfulde dialects, none. So how can Subhanahu wa ta'ala has did something to keep us over here, and he gave us cultural traits. So he said, look, yes, I'm going to keep you away from the others, but I'm going to give you this. And he did. Our great scholars, our chief, you yet still a honorable chief with the dogma. Yes, we have that. We have that. But I want somebody to come to me, to talk to me, and tell me that when we lost our cultural traits, we don't speak the Fulfulde anymore. We start to mingle with all the others, and tell me that we're more powerful in this state of we have today than when the Messina was running things. When 7-Eleven, when we had the Takarura region, and so forth and so on. What happened to all of the Fulani scholarship? We still have it, but not on the scale we had it in the past. Why do most of the Fulani people today don't speak Fulfulde? This is what I'm talking about. When the doggone people who we're talking about right here, when they charted the concepts of the interstellar space, they used the Fulani Muslim 440 dialect to do it. I asked the question before, did the doggone have people inside Timbuktu? Because the instructions in Timbuktu were in Arabic and also the Fulani dialect. We know there's documents written in Messina, Fulani, and we in Arabic. We know that. And I hear also Amazigh, they have that as well in Tuareg. I heard that. But for Fulani, the Messina Fulani was a big part of the scholarship. We know that. That's why I love that dialect, because it's mixed with a lot of Arabic. A lot of Arabic. And our brother says, I understand, Baba. Yes, there's something. Subhanahu wa ta'ala does something for a reason. He kept us in the Sahara for a reason. He kept us there, and he gave us certain traits that made us different from other people for a reason. He kept us among the cattle, and he gave us knowledge of the Sahara that you and me, anyone else, we can't just go across and say, okay, I'm going to go from here, from Ghana, and I'm going to walk this, and it's going to be easy. I just go straight across here, and I go into Ghana. It's not that simple. People have tried it. They thought they were going to the north, and they were going to the south. They ended up going to the east because there's some magnetic field. The Fulani, he can man that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave that knowledge. And so this is what I'm talking about, because we lost it. We lost it. Yes, because we came from from ancient Kemt, and we have intermarried. Yes. We went on jihad when we were in northern Nigeria. We went to jihad in Sudan. We understand Sudan today with who? With our Hausa brothers and with our Kanuri brothers. Those two brothers or two groups went with us to the Sudan to fight. And they start to make that trek in 1818, I think it was shortly after Usman Dodi when he passed on, Rahim Allah. Then they went to go into the Sudan. And they start going back and forth into Sudan all the way until they joined forces with, Muhammad Mahdi. Remember, I talked about him. I showed a video thing about him and so forth and so on. So that part, we were with them. See? And our brother says he agrees. But I'm going to talk about a dimension, and perhaps it may get me in trouble. I do not know. But I'm going to talk about it, because we should talk about this part. Because brothers and sisters, this is not normal. Okay? That's not normal. This is not normal. This, on the nature of itself, is not normal, because you should have something. The Subhanahu wa ta'ala is put the heavens to a degree. So how did we get this knowledge? This is not normal. That's why I want to talk about that. See, and our brothers were spending a lot of time in the Sahara, and this dimension that I'm going to talk about came into play. When we had all of this, we were untouchable. We had the greatest sultanates. We had the richest man. We had the richest people per capita. We had knowledge that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us to where we can map the Sahara, and we can go from Senegal all over to Eritrea that nobody else could do. See? So there's something to this. There's something to this, brothers and sisters. And that's why I'm talking today. And I'm hoping I piqued your interest on this, brothers and sisters. Because I see why I'm talking is I'm trying to wake up the Fulani people, because there's a reason why Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave all of this, and we were in control for a long time here. See? And when we had this separation, it was for a reason. And this is what I was talking about. And I'm hoping that I piqued your interest on this. And those who have, you know, they are not sure about this. You're welcome, my dear brother. Welcome. When we have this knowledge and it's returned to us, I'll give you an example. I told you before, go to Sheikh Ahmed Gumi. He's in the mold of the Fulani scholarship back in the Messina time, and also in the time of Usman bin Fodio, and also the time of the Hapular. There's some other Fulani scholars also that possess this dimension. Okay? See, you want to learn your religion and you want to learn about a lot of other things, you go seek him out. Now, most of his instruction is not in English, unfortunately. It's mostly in the Hausa, and then he has also the Arabic. If you understand Arabic, then you'll be okay, because he has classes and he talks about many issues of fiqh and so forth and so on in the Arabic language. But most of his language that he talks is Hausa. So we have this scholarship, but we are hurting. The people know that there's something to us. That's why they keep us away and want to keep us so we cannot restore what we had in the past. So I don't know what we're going to do and how we're going to get back to this. I have my reasons, but I'm not going to discuss that. But I believe that Subhanahu wa ta'ala had us in this position for a reason. Because there's things that happened that are just not normal. And when I get you to this one scholar in the 15th century, someone finally smuggled out his works, translated it, and he's put it out. And I'm going to tell you now, as you heard me say, it didn't make sense. He's talking about things and many things of rationale that we don't understand today, because it's 1500. At that time, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, blessed with all this night, we were separated. He was talking about things, it don't make no damn sense. I'm not talking about craziness and stupidity. No, I'm talking about scholarship we just don't have this knowledge. But it's given to certain ones, and the Fulani scholars had it. When these Fulani scholars wrote about their times in the Savannah region among the lions, walking to and from, making rabat, as we call this in Arabic language, where they will go out and stay days, weeks, away from everybody, and they just deep worship with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The lions are right there. When they came back to university, they wrote about their experiences. I want to read this. Some of these documents now are being photographed. Some have read these documents and talk about issues like this, about these Fulani scholars who had extraordinary knowledge that don't make sense. He's not an architect. How did he do this? And how do you line up these charts of the interstellar space with all the computers we have today and they match up? He didn't have that. He didn't have this thing. So how? See, how? This is what we're talking about. How? And that's why I say, brothers and sisters, see, there's something to it. And when I started to think about this, about the Fulani, how Subhanahu wa Ta'ala gave something to us. He chose us for a mission. He gave us Islam first. We took it from the north down to the central and to the west, and then we went east also with it. See, when he gave us the scholarship in Timbuktu, we were predominant professors there. The greatest of the scholars were there. And so we had this. And this is what, okay, where our brother here, we say, okay, wait a minute. Here, let me see, I'm going to make sure. Okay, yeah, okay, we're trying to catch up here. Okay, I'm very behind on ancient. It's not, because a lot of the scholarship we just can't get to. And there's reason. I told you, this scholarship is by people who are blonde hair, it'd be all out of the place. But because it's by black people, they don't want that out. They keep it. That's why it's virtually impossible to get into Timbuktu to read those documents and go to those suppositories, because they don't want you to have that knowledge. They don't want you to read about black people, but how they had this extraordinary knowledge. They don't want you to have that. I saw a thing today in Google today where they showed one Fulani scholar as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man with a beard. See this, because why? They can now do this. Anytime there's great scholarship, now even in Africa, in the south of the Sahara, they call Bilad in Sudan, they start to paint even Mansa Musa as a white man, as a Tuba. Can you say his name, bro? What name are you talking about? What are you talking about? The brother, the scholar? Yeah, I can say his name, but I'm not going to tell you that name. I'm gonna get into this at another time when I get to his works, because I don't want to do him injustice by talking about one small issue. I'm going to talk about something else, about his document, something he wrote. And when you listen to his logic on things, it was not normal. And we know it's true because we know in modern times we've confirmed these things. Yes, that's a good document. Yes, it's a good document because it gives you a good history. But it doesn't cover about the sciences. It covers some of that, but it doesn't cover the deep scientific thing. How about all of the Fulani astrophysicists and the physicians that were there in Timbuktu? There's works there that we can't get to. The book is good about a history, but it didn't get down into the astrophysics and so forth and so on, that we know that's what they call today. We had them there, and Fulani were leading that. See? Oh, yes. Well, yes, we know that. But them, because of their genocidal racist attitude, any scholarship, they want to make sure the people are turned into tuba. Just like the thing about Tuck-Rohr. When you start to look at Tuck-Rohr, you'll look at things on Google and pull it up. You'll see 3/4 of it, they show pointy beard tuba men. Here we're in Balad, Sudan, and they're showing legendary white ethnic groups that were running the show. Okay, see, that's, we know that's ridiculous, but they're doing that. Yes, I'm going to get into this, BF Lab with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's permission, and I'm going to talk more about this at another date, another time with his permission. But I'm hoping this sinks into you, brothers and sisters. I know now too, I still make my complaints. I was told again that a lot of people were blocked from even looking at my program. A lot of people were even blocked. They couldn't even come into the chat. They said the chat showed closed. These bastards are something. Others said that when they know the program was going to happen, they pulled it up, they click it, it says this video's been pulled. Okay, this is what they're doing to my show. The same people doing this said, I'm stupid, ignorant. Why do you want to curtail? We have a lot of ignorance. I don't go about myself. I see somebody, he has no intelligence. You let him go. So why do they focus on continuing to try to, because the narrative's been set. They said I can't read and write. So, they want to curtail all my programs. And this is, something. And I saw something else. I couldn't understand something. I looked in my studio, I saw 7,000 views. But if you look at my monitor, it only shows 300. So I asked YouTube, why do we have discrepancy of 7,000 views here? And of, say, 3 programs, 7,000 views, but only shows 300. Because they've done something to curtail that, because they don't want to see the people that they're interested in my program again. And I told some of these racist too about, I said, why don't you get on YouTube and talk about your genocidal tendencies and your thing, talk about how you perverted the Quran and what you do inside the masjids. Why don't you go on YouTube to talk about that? Since you said this is part of the sunnah of the Nabi alayhi salam. See, yes, argue with them, yes. And when I do talk to them, I talk to them, but you got to remember something. Those, if you live in the States, as King Cam can tell you, you have to be forceful sometimes too, because they operate on fear. And they're accustomed to where their forefathers, when we went to talk to them, we were bashful. We duck our head down. We couldn't look at them. We, yes, a boss. Yes, a massa. Yes, boss. We had to do all that kind of stuff. They don't like it in modern times, because when you sit in their face and you talk to them and you call them a tubab, say, you're a tubab. This is what you are. This is what we call you people. We call you tubab. They don't like that, because they want you to put your head down, bow down, and be servile to them, even kiss their feet. But when, as a Muslim, we have rules, you heard me say. I just can't go engage the enemy just because I know what they're doing. I see them. I don't bother them. I let them talk. But if they throw rocks at me, I know it's come from him. I will fight him. If he comes to me or come after my family, I will fight him. If he destroys my property, I will go after him. But when he sits up and talk, I let him talk. See, when he tells me I have no right to be here in Africa, I let him talk. See, so these type of things like this, yes, and it's incumbent upon us as Muslims to do that, to be at best, even if the enemy. But on the same token, you better read what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, he gave the order to the Nabi alayhi salam. He said, you be kind to the believers and be stern and harsh to the disbelievers. So we can't go against this command. Harsh doesn't mean that you go over there and you curse them out. No. That's not what I mean. We can't do that. See, but I try to go at them with knowledge and whatnot. And that, you know, that's the best thing we can do. And I got to get ready to get out here. The views may fluctuate. I have the same issue, yes. But how does it fluctuate from, if it says only 30 views, but it's actually 1,000? Something's not right. And I have a program, and the program will show after 3, 4, 5 days, maybe 100. But then when I look at the analysis, it shows well in the thousands. So, whoa, wait a minute. There's something wrong here. And YouTube told me, they wrote me back and said it was a problem. They found something also that's troubling. But now it's come back again. Whenever they put this filter to stop my programs, when they stop, they let it goes into the 2000s. But when they put the filters back in to stop everything, it stays in they'll let me have 100, 200, maybe sometimes even 500. But most of the time it's 100 to 30 to 100. Incredible. Yes, but his custom is yes. But again, brother, I'm not advocating you. Now, I don't understand the drift that you're taking. I have not said anywhere to advocate violence. You as a Muslim and human being, you have the right. If somebody come to attack you, I'm not going to sit here and let the man attack. I defend myself. You go after my family, I defend myself. There's no time I've ever said that when I see the Tubab, I go and fight him for no reason. Cannot. I've said it many times. I'll get in trouble for that. We're forbidden from that. We have rules. They don't. And I will never advocate violence to go start to tell people, hey, you know, that's what they do. I cannot do that. It's against the Sunnah and the Sharia law. I cannot do that. So I don't know which way you're going, but, I'm not going to advocate violence because we can't. We cannot. And we don't have that authorization for that. I heard the man out here the other day talking. He deliberately is trying to provoke me. I let him talk. Even though I go out here, I do my gardening and everything like this, I let him talk out there. If he's now he comes up now, I'm not going to sit there and let him come up my face and let him make a swing or do something to go at me. No, I won't do that. We have a right to defend ourselves. But if he's out here talking, I let him talk. They do that all the time. And people come to me to tell me about what they said. And I always say to them, I say, it's funny, they never come to me to tell me to stop talking to somebody. What they do, they go to other people, prevent them from say, look, you want to be on an investigation? Stop talking to them. So why do they want to prevent that? But they don't stop them because nobody's coming to worship them. There's a few, but most people don't worship them. And they want people to worship them and fear them. And as Muslims, we should not have that. We want people to respect us because of our piety and our religion and so forth and so on, not because of fear of an action. You see, this is what we talk about. One more here, and I got to get because I'm close to Maghrib. Yes, we have self-defense and whatnot, and we should exercise self-defense when it's necessary, when it's time. And there's personal, you're walking on the street, the man's coming to take your wallet, take your food, or your son is with you, he's coming to fight you to take your son's telephone because he's got a good telephone, a cell phone, mobile phone. You have a right to defend yourself. But you can't go after the enemy just because he's standing in the corner. He's not doing anything to you because he's talking. You let him talk. And you just go about your business. And we have remedies for that. That's why Subhanahu wa ta'ala has it in the Quran. He gave us things to say. Nabi alayhi salam gave us du'as to say about situations like this. And you go about your business. But they come in your yard to attack you there, you fight. They come in your house, you fight. They send people to come to fight you, you fight them back. If you go on the street, they come and they try to do things, you have a right to defend yourself. Nobody's going to stop that. So we should always remember that. Okay, brothers and sisters, I'm going to go here. I got to get ready for Salat al-Maghrib. And Until the next time, I hope you wait for the next episode. This is going to be a deeper talk than this today. I'll get into things that I've learned and discovered that is very interesting and may explain some things about why we have this extraordinary knowledge. So the next time, Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Anjurama.